Jason, happy new year, my friend. Happy new year, a year of new beginnings. I hope it's a great 2026 for you.
Oh, it's gonna be Garth. I can hardly wait to get into this year. I'm so excited. I mean, we've got some really big things happening this coming
Yep.
year. You and I, we're going to be
Big
at the
guests on the
National
show.
Leaders Conference. Oh, we've
Yep.
got big guests on the show, really big guests. I can't
Yep.
wait for more of them to come. It's a new year of Ted Lasso. There's going to be a new
Hmm.
Ted Lasso season 4 coming up. And of course, lots of adventures. I'm sure we're going to cross paths a few times. I can hardly wait to get into it. But Garth, speaking of Ted Lasso, the namesake of this podcast, and certainly the
Yes.
the origin and the inspiration. Um, who do you think mattered most to Ted in his leadership, and how did he show them that they mattered? What do you think?
Wow. Ooh, deep cut, Jason. Deep cut. Well, I've got to go back to my favorite character on the show, which is Rebecca.
I knew it. I wish I would have put money on
Yeah.
this. Yeah,
um, Yeah, I think Rebecca made sure that Ted knew that he mattered,
yeah.
because of the arc of their friendship, where it started and then where it came from. And I think because we're still, I don't know, we're still kind of in the holiday spirit. That was really felt when she showed up at his door and was like, "You're coming with me to spread joy." That was like, not only did Rebecca make sure that she mattered, the football club mattered in the community, but actually Ted was part of that mattering, and he saw a connection, a significance in himself to others. Nailed it.
Nice work. Nice work. Nice work.
All right, Jason, your turn to answer this question.
Well, I initially thought I'd answer the Roy Kent because you remember season 1, he was always, my favorite character,
Yeah.
whatever the case was. But I think it's actually Beard, and I think Ted holds Beard so closely. They're always beside each other, right? They're
Mhm.
leading together, and Beard is providing subtle leadership guidance throughout. And Ted is taking it. I think when Ted weaves in Beard's, genius, with that word in air quotes, I think he's saying to Beard, "Hey, listen, dude, you matter right here in this
Yeah.
relationship." And I think there's a lot of mutual significance that's happening between the two of them. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so I think Beard and Ted are the closest, and I think they're the closest because they share with each other that they matter.
It's a beautiful thing, Jason.
It is, isn't it? So it's
Yeah.
a pretty good lead into today's podcast. What are we talking about today?
Yeah, we're talking about we're introducing the next three episodes, which focus on Zach Mercurio and his book, The Power of Mattering, where this word significance plays a key role. We talk a little bit about how you can make it actionable, mattering actionable. But we also talk about why we love this book and where it came from. And Jason, you talk a little bit about how it filled a gap for you, from one book that we looked at to another. So it's a great episode, and you'll walk away. Jason is giving it his money back guarantee.
I am, in fact, yeah, totally. Give me a call. We'll find how to fulfill that promise.
All right, enjoy the episode, everybody, and Happy New Year.
Yeah, enjoy the show.
Lassoing leadership, sharp and true. Beard's Book Club got wisdom for you. Turn the pages, let the stories flow. Unpacking lessons as we grow.
Hey, folks, welcome to Season 3, Beard's Book Club, as part of Lassoing Leadership. My name is Garth Nichols, and I am joined, as always, by my good friend, my leadership companion and mentor, Jason Rogers.
Well, thank you, Garth. It's good to see you, man. We're into the
Yeah,
new year. We're into the next chapter of this podcast series, like into new books that we're going to
yeah,
be exploring. We've got some doozies coming up here, Garth. Man, this season has been just everything I hoped for, and then some. Let me tell you,
I
I'm
know.
so excited. Yeah.
Yeah, these books are powerful, and I mentioned it when we were chatting about Dr. David Yeager and 10 to 25, and that series, those three podcasts got a lot of play with us. But I mentioned it where we're starting to compile some incredible resources for like a
Hmm.
leadership, like just masterclass. Like it's been
Truly.
really fun. We feel really humbled and really grateful too for everybody who's joined in. So yeah.
Yeah, no, the time these authors and thinkers are giving us, like starting with Kurt and then ending with Jaeger in last year's,
Yeah.
my goodness, like and they're bringing all their energy and talent into the podcast. And really, Garth, I find myself thinking more and more about leading the lasso way every day that passes. I don't know if you've
Mm.
noticed, but leadership in society is in peril right now. You see some of the biggest leaders in the world leading from a place of power and authority and strength, and a lot of other things that don't necessarily ascribe with leading the lasso way, as you will. And this podcast gives me hope that this type of leadership still exists and is important. And really, to my last breath, I'm going to believe it. But thanks for being along this journey, because I think it's an important time in our world in shining a light on this kind of positive leadership.
Yeah, I subscribe to the idea that everything you need to know you learned in kindergarten, right? How to be kind to people, how to share things, how to play productively. What we're learning more and more is that extends into adulthood. Everyone is still craving this sense of belonging, this sense of mattering, which leads us, Jason, to our next guest, who we're going to spend 3 episodes talking about. And that's Zach Mercurio and his book, The Power of Mattering. So let's dive in here, Jason. You recommended this book to me. Where'd you hear about it? Like, where did you come across The Power of Mattering?
Yeah, so the origin story goes a little bit like this. We have a counselor in our elementary school, and one day she said to her head of academics, I just read this book. It's called Never Enough, and it feels like it was written about our community when I'm reading it sometimes. And for those of you who don't, Never Enough, it's written by Jennifer Wallace, and it's a book about toxic achievement culture and what we can do about it. And the thing that I love most about Never Enough was Jennifer offered a solution, which you don't often see in nonfiction books, is the author who says, hey, here's how we get ourselves out of this mess that we've gotten ourselves into. And the solution was mattering.
Mm.
So with mattering, what you come to learn in Jennifer Wallace's book is that you've got to be seen, heard, valued, and significant. And significance is a really important part. But Garth, what left me behind in that book is that, yes, it spoke to our communities, but it didn't speak necessarily directly to leadership. And that was the gap I was looking to fill.
And this book fills it for you.
It did. I mean, I have to say it was a LinkedIn post. I don't know who put it up. I wish I could find the origin of it, but somebody put up, if you're thinking about mattering and leadership, you got to check out this book by Zach, The Power of Mattering. And you know what? It has not disappointed. I know, Garth, you said that you don't reread nonfiction books very often, but I can say that I've reread this book several times because, in my view, this is a leadership playbook. For instilling mattering in our organizations. And so that's what led me to this book. And like I said, it hasn't disappointed.
Yeah, and you handed it to me. It is a distinguished read, I think, for us in terms of how and why. Right. It also brings us back. It connects us to a couple of other books. You've already connected to Never Enough. I connected back to like the book that we keep going back to, How to Navigate Life by Dr. Bell Yang and Tim Klein, because it talks about purpose and how a leader can actually remind or deepen someone's purpose in their role, regardless of where they are at an institution. And Zach in his book talks about, the interview or the question of the janitor, the caretaker working at NASA. What's your role here? I build rocket ships. Like seeing and connecting to the overall purpose of the organization is so critical. Jason, what's something that really stuck with you out of this book that you want to share before we actually talk to Zach next week?
Yeah, well, I think what strikes me in this book is that if we want our organizations to value mattering, we have to demonstrate mattering as leaders, and we need to do it with the people who are around us, showing them that they matter, that there's significance in their role. And I mean, you bring up the caretaker example, Garth, which is pretty famous throughout Zach's work. But we have to extrapolate that to all the people who are surrounding us. Like what is it that they're bringing to the organization? The fact that mattering isn't a feeling, it's an experience that leaders can provide to anybody in their orbit. And I think we can extrapolate leaders to not just be you and I, like heads of school. I don't think that's the point. I think that notion that everybody leads is important when we think about mattering as well. And so I think we can build a kinder, more compassionate workplace by layering and mattering. And I think that's really what Zach's thesis is here
Yeah.
throughout the book.
Yeah. I also, for me, and I think this is significant, we talk about it with Zach, as we'll talk about it next week, but the idea that how mattering is so important to an organization and to leadership, but also that mattering is actionable. And these are acts of generosity, acts of gratitude, and all that stuff. But he gives us a couple of different examples. So he reframes some of the things that we usually take for granted. So one of the most powerful reframes that I think he offers, and I'll quote him on this: we cannot expect our voice to have significance with others before the voice of others are significant to us.
Yes.
So it's not a top-down model. He's calling on leaders to be emotionally and cognitively present. And I love that. Another actionable piece is the "so that" reframe. So having this mindset encourages reframing everyday tasks in terms of their broader purpose. So for example, I'm writing this staff memo so that my team is aligned and confident, right?
Or
and just
so that you don't have to come to a staff meeting, right?
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah. All those things. I think it's so that's what I loved about this book, is that it's really significant in terms of putting mattering into action.
Yeah. One of our school leaders, her name's Nicole Jordan, and she talks an awful lot about micro moments. And Zach, I think, does as well. I think he talks about, those small, specific, and intentional moments that we spend with people or for people to create these experiences of mattering, and how that impact is played out. He also, if you get deep enough into his book or into his research, and what I love about Zach is he's a researcher. He's a researcher first. This is all grounded in really, really great research. He talks about the impact of gratitude in mattering a lot. And I think this is something I've been thinking about for a long time, but and I can't remember if it's in the book or not, but I recently had a conversation with him, not on the podcast, but otherwise. And he sent me an article afterwards saying that, when we give gratitude, it serves two purposes. One purpose is it supports us internally. It feels good to say thank you. And that's just positive psychology 101. But the second is the person who receives it receives an outweighed amount of energy and appreciation than the sender believes they will receive. Every time, in research, you ask the sender, how much do you think this person's going to appreciate, scale 1 to 5 or whatever the scale is? They'll say 3. But the outcome is always 5, and so what Zach says is these micro moments are more important than we think. And I think he encourages us through a framework, which he'll talk about on the podcast, to deliver these micro moments in really efficient and effective ways. And I love that, because I think we have to be efficient and effective in our leadership if we're going to be sustainable.
Yeah. I love that, Jason. I love that. I think another point that is really important here for people who might look at the title of the book and say, oh yeah, everybody matters, which means everyone's voices get heard, and you got to respond to everything. But mattering isn't about being right, and it isn't about having your ideas taken up by leadership. It's actually the act of feeling listened to, feeling acknowledged for your value, and feeling that your value is needed. It's not about getting your own way. So in our world of education, sometimes it's the people who are like, I'm not sure that that's the way to go. I'm not sure that that's the initiative you want to put forward. And those are incredibly valuable. You might put that initiative forward anyway, right? But you have to go back to that person and say, you weren't speaking into a void. You weren't speaking to nobody. I listened, I took it into account, and then I made my decision. I think that acknowledgement goes a long way. Maybe it's a 5 out of 5, but it goes a long way to making someone feel valued, and that the organization, the school, is not the same without them. That the small act of bravery in saying, I'm not sure that's the right way to go, really truly impacted you. And so it's not about getting your own way. It's not about being right all the time. It is about actually acknowledging them.
So, and you said a couple times in that bit, Garth, it's about significance, right? And I think, as I entered into this conversation today, being seen, heard, valued, and significant, it's easy to blow over that significant word, but I'll put it to teachers on occasion. And I think leaders can look at it from this frame as well, is can a student leave class or show up at class and truly in their mind believe that the class wouldn't be the same or as good without me? And this is my significance in this class. I think if we can get students to that place where they, call it subconscious, but where they know that the class is different, is better because they're there. And I think the same goes for staff when you're talking about, our ideas as an organization are better because of my input. They aren't necessarily my ideas, or they're not my initiatives, they're not my policy, but the policy is better because I gave feedback and because I was so in tune and I was providing that feedback. And I think, Garth, you talk all the time about things like the speed of trust, and you talk about, how do we build these deep and sustained relationships? I think this is where significance lives. And I think Zach and, Jennifer and Brene Brown and all these people who are writing about mattering and significance, I think are really leaning into that right now.
Yeah, and Zach calls it articulated attention. Choose what and who to pay attention to, and then show it. It goes beyond active listening and that type of thing. It's seeking people out. Yeah, so this book, listeners, is an unbelievable read. If you haven't already, please do pick it up. Our interview with Zach is incredible. We can't wait for you to listen to it. He is animated. He's interesting. And he's also really accessible. This is science-based, but it makes it really accessible. And you are going to walk away with probably a handful of actionable ways to practice mattering in your own experience. So tune in.
Garth, if I could give a money back guarantee on a leadership book, I would give it on this book. Folks, this will be the best $20 you spend in your leadership research in 26. I think it's a really, really important piece of work. And I think the podcast can be a wicked listen to. So I hope people lean into that.
Yeah, I mean, the podcast's worth every cent they pay for the podcast. So.
Yeah, and every cent we get paid. This is no, I really, what, Garth, we are so lucky to have Zach on the podcast.
Yeah.
So
he brings
thank
a
you,
lot
Zach.
of great energy.
Yeah, and we really hope you enjoy the episode.
Yeah, thanks, listeners, and until next time, keep leading the lasso way.
All right, thanks, Garth. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Jason.
Coffee, grab your seat. It's time to learn, it's time to meet. Garth and Jason setting the tone. Leadership lessons to take back home. Lassoing leadership sharp and true. Beard's Book Club got wisdom for you. Turn the pages, let the stories flow. Unpacking lessons as we grow. Keep leading the lasso way. Together we'll grow stronger every day. So plug in your headphones and let's start the show. With lessons from Ted, we'll learn and grow. Lassoing leadership sharp and true. Beard's Book Club got wisdom for you. Turn the pages, let the stories flow. Unpacking lessons as we grow. Keep leading the lasso way. Together we'll grow stronger every day. So plug in your headphones and let's start the show. With lessons from Ted, we'll learn and grow. Lasso